Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about eyeshadow palettes that are the complete package. Formula, color story, packaging, presentation, number of pans, everything that makes an eyeshadow palette perfect. Those are the ones I want to highlight today. If you've never been here before, hey, my name is Rachel. I am a homeschooling stay-at-home mom. I love to play with colorful eyeshadow. In case you can't tell, I'm a unicorn today. And by the way, this eyeshadow look was filmed. It's coming soon when I do an entire week of uploads using the Glamlight Hela palette, so keep an eye out for that. I upload multiple videos every week. They're all eyeshadow related, so if you like that sort of thing and you want to see more, remember to like and subscribe, and definitely hit that notification bell because this look is coming soon along with many others. Alright, so I'm not doing these palettes in any particular order. I have various brands represented here, and really it was just a matter of looking at my collection and thinking, oh my goodness, that palette has everything that I could want. Some palettes have formula but not great packaging, some have great packaging, and the color story is less than ideal. You know, it's just once in a while a brand gets it totally right, and that's what these palettes are. So let's dive right in. I want to start with The Child from ColourPop. This was their very first collaboration with the Star Wars franchise, and I honestly think that this is one of their best collabs in general. I mean, look at the packaging. Little baby Yoda, he's so cute. It's sort of a soft touch feel, so it has a very nice texture to it. All these little details in the elements that they chose to highlight with a metallic finish, and then little pops of color, but it's all in this muted green neutral sort of color story. And on the back, the only thing that's raised are these little dots here. It's just lovely. On the inside, of course, the color story is important. This shade broke on me, but you can still sort of see what it was. This is such a very good neutral green sort of palette, and it can go cool. You've got more cool tones up here with the silver and the cool tone minty sage green, but you can also go warm. There's a deepening brown here that can go warm, a dark olive green, and then of course, like I said, this shadow broke, but this was a gold shimmer, and it was a beautiful gold complement to the warmer tones of the palette. So I think that the size is perfect. It's not too much, it's not too little. 9 pan is about as small as I prefer to go in my collection because the little ones tend to get lost, and this palette just has it all. It's still my favorite out of their Star Wars collabs. But more recently than I bought that one, which was when it launched, I did end up buying the full-size Star Wars collab between ColourPop, and I have to give this one credit as well because this is amazing. I mean, look at the packaging. Now, I am not a Star Wars fan, but I can really appreciate the work and the attention to detail that they put into this palette. The colors that they selected, these little flashes of silver, and it's very retro. Here we go with the vintage packaging and the vintage design. So nostalgic. For people who love Star Wars, I could understand them going nuts for this. And again, I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I really appreciate how much work they put into making this everything that it is. The color story is perfect. We have some neutrals, everything's a little bit deeper, a little darker, and then we have these bright colors. We've got blue, we've got red, we've got these cool marbly shades over here, and then we have a lot of highlighting. There's a black, there's a deep navy blue, but it's not a super standard sort of navy. It has an interesting undertone to it, more like, I don't know, maybe a Caribbean depths sort of blue. It's great. The formula is amazing. These are the sorts of neutrals that I prefer for my skin tone because I have blue undertones, and so these more blue, brown, purpley based neutrals look good on me. This palette's awesome. I mean, it's not the most exciting color story. Again, look at my eye look today. Clearly, I love very colorful eyeshadow. But despite that, this one ranks consistently high because it's such good formula and everything about it is right. Let's talk about the smallest palette in my collection. Here is the Queen Bee palette from Colored Rain. I think this palette's great. Honestly, I think all of these palettes are great. That's sort of the point, right? Look at the detail in this outer packaging. Look at the way that the bee's wings are holographic. And then this gorgeous, glowing, honey-colored packaging. It's sort of caramel and honey and chocolate all put together, and it literally just glows. It's so beautifully done. This is the outer sleeve. I don't usually keep outer sleeves, but this is an exception. And then on the inside, it's different. It still has these glowing honeyed caramel tones, but now instead of having holographic wings, we've got little 3D wings. So I hope you can see on camera the bee's wings are flapping up and down. This little section here of the honeycomb is separated from the rest, and it's all 3D. Remember those bookmarks from when we were all in like middle school, high school? That's what this is. It's so clever. It's so creative. I love that the lettering is gold on black. It's very classy feeling. And despite my temptation, I did not actually buy this palette simply for the packaging. I love this color story. It's very warm, it's very inviting, cozy, it feels comfortable. You know, shadows within this are incredibly good. They're wonderful formula. The mattes are super pigmented, yet buildable and blendable. You can get a light wash if you go in very lightly. And then these shimmers are amazing. This one is just a super beautiful, peachy, champagne coral kind of shimmer. And then this one over here is a multi-chrome. It goes gold, green, pink. It's so beautiful. They work together, and even though this is such a small palette, you can actually get a lot of looks from it because it has such a diversity within its color choice, but they all still work together and you can go several different directions. Get a really bright look, you could get a really deep look, you could go more neutral. It's fabulous. It's just great. Oden's Eye has to make an appearance in this video because I love everything about Oden's Eye. In fact, Oden's Eye makes several appearances in this video, but this is the first one I'm going to talk about. This is the Hummingbird palette, part of their original 3 Legendary Diversa palettes. This was a collaboration with Tina from The Fancy Face, and for so long, this palette has sort of been a special shades palette in my collection. But let's first talk about the packaging. Look at this packaging. I love the colors that Tina chose for just the outer packaging, the greens and blues and yellows. Again, look at my eyes today. So pretty, so vibrant and saturated. It carries through on the back with this lovely gradient. The Oden's Eye packaging often reminds me of watercolors. It's just very soft and kind of all melds together. And then on the inside, we've got these colors, like I said, so saturated. They're so full and vibrant and pigmented. They're beautiful. This palette is more shimmer heavy, which is not my preference, but that's why I sort of think of it as a special shades, because the shimmers in here are amazing. You could easily grab any of these to pop onto a different eye look using different palettes and get an amazing look. However, the mattes in here are also excellent. These two obviously work together best, a dark blue and a light blue. The other mattes are a little bit less cohesive as far as there being a color story. Now, the shimmers do work with the mattes. It's just a little bit trickier to come up with one look if you're trying to use only this palette and do want to have a lot of mattes to play with. It's a tiny bit more difficult, but it's not impossible. I have done several looks with only this palette, complete, beautiful, vibrant looks. But oh my goodness, the formula in here is incredible. This has been the best, or the top 2 best lime green shimmers of my collection since I started playing with eyeshadow. It's spectacular. It's amazing. The shimmers in this palette are so pretty. They're so pretty. So this palette is definitely the complete package. It offers everything that you would want. Another ColourPop palette, I have to give credit where credit's due. This is the Raw Beauty Christie collaboration with ColourPop. The palette's called At Forest Sight. This palette, again, it's everything. The packaging is so beautiful. I do love the watercolor details. I love the font. I love the name. ColourPop's all about wordplay, and I think that the At Forest Sight name is just super good. I love the details of the little mushrooms and everything, and again, this part is embossed, whereas the rest sort of recedes into the background. On the back, we have the same concept. The At Forest Sight wording is embossed and the rest is smooth, but you do still have the visual details, even though it's flat. On the inside, the pattern and the design plays through. You get a full picture, and then the color story is beautiful. These are colors that Christie selected from actual photographs of actual nature. Everything works together beautifully. I like that it's more matte heavy rather than shimmer. I like that it has a decent variety of depth and colors, and we do have 2 shimmers which can take you in completely different directions, yet both of them work with every matte within the palette, and they even work with each other, because this is sort of a silver brown based shimmer and this is more of a gold base, obviously, but you can put them together, and because of the brown in this, it works with the gold. It's more of a warmer silver, if that makes sense. Amazing. This is such a beautiful palette. I think it's lovely. This black shade over here actually has little flecks of bronze in it, so it's not a pure black matte, but it clearly gives you plenty of depth, and it's amazing. It's just, I understand the hype around this palette. I'm so glad I own it. It's very exciting. It's very lovely. Let's talk about Oden's Eye again. This is their Merry Christmas palette, their 2022 Christmas release, one of 2 palettes that they launched. This is since discontinued. I didn't try to get the second one because I thought that this color story was more unique and a better fit for my eyeshadow tastes, but can we just appreciate the packaging? Again, Udenzai is amazing with their packaging. They do phenomenal work. There's so much detail. There's so much to love. All these different elements and tiny little pops of color and sparkle and shimmer and metallic. And this part right here is raised, as is the star on top of the tree, and the rest is flat, but it's very comfortable. It's kind of traditional sort of Scandinavian Christmas feel. My sister had said that it reminds her of, oh, what is it? Rose mailing? I'll find the word and put it on screen for you guys. I can't remember off the top of my head. My battery on my phone is getting low, so I don't want to sit here thinking about it too much, but it's sort of like the design element, very filigree and detailed, lots of little florals, just beautiful. So here's the inside of the palette. It's incredible. It's one of the most unique and interesting color stories that I own. The different colors that they chose to pair together that you might never put together, but they still work. It's just creative. You can't not be creative using this palette. And the formula, I love Udenzai. The formula is fabulous. It's so good. The mattes are pigmented and they're blendable. You can build them, you can sheer them out. The shimmers are unique. They work in a beautiful way with the mattes. They pile on nicely. You don't get any weird lines. They can blend out into nothing. Sparkle everywhere. There's a multi-chrome up here that's a peachy greenish gold sort of shade. Oh my goodness, this palette is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It is the complete package. Here's a palette that I must confess I did buy primarily for the packaging, and that is the Limoncello palette from ColourPop. I can't seem to part with this one, even though it doesn't get that much use. I adore this packaging. I lived in Italy for a little while. I wish I'd lived there longer. I was Italian in another life, you know. And this palette's packaging speaks to me on every level. The color scheme, the happy yellow lemons, and the tile in the background a little bit faded and rustic. The name Limoncello and how it's presented on the palette. These lemons over here are raised as well. They have texture. It's very fun to play with. The packaging, of course, carries through to the back, and then we have these little sprigs of metallic here that catch the light in a very fetching way. When it comes to the color story, it is very well done. These neutrals make complete sense with the theme. They're more yellow-based, more neutrals, but we also have the pop of blue to match the tile, the pop of green to match the foliage, the pop of yellow to match the lemons. Limoncello theme, amazing. Everything's good. The quality is excellent. You really do get some very lovely looks. There are a couple other shimmers in here which can turn your look a slightly different direction. You could go more light toned with this champagne shimmer, or you could go more on the brown side over here and get something that's very wearable, very everyday. We can deepen as well. It's just great. It's a great palette, great formula, great packaging. It's got a nice mirror, and then the inside of the palette right here is sort of a leatherette feel, which I don't think I've noticed in any of ColourPop's other palettes. You know, this sort of pleather kind of texture, which is reminiscent of the rind of a lemon. So, I mean, ColourPop, they did great with this one. Two more to talk about, and I have to say that this one has really surprised me. I wasn't expecting to like this palette as much as I do, and I wasn't expecting that it would end up in a video like this where I'm talking about palettes that are the complete package. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Nouveau palette. And I have to shift my mindset a bit when it comes to this palette because, again, I love really colorful eyeshadow, and that is not what this palette gives me. What this palette gives me is more refined, elegant sophistication, which truthfully most of my eyeshadow is not, because I kind of tend towards the circus clown makeup rather than the elegant makeup. However, when I want to go for elegance, I think about this palette because the packaging feels very high-end. I know that Anastasia Beverly Hills is a more high-end brand. It's not a cheap brand, and the packaging represents the price point that they're asking if you were to buy this at MSRP. This has a textured outer packaging, and the name is very elegant, very classy, little gold details, nothing too much, and it carries through all the way on the back. It feels like quality, and that's a nice feeling. Then on the inside, I feel that this is quite a unique color story. Even among the more luxury brands that tend towards more neutral color stories, this one's unique. This one is sort of like their Rose Metals palette, but not quite to that level, and I prefer it like this, a little bit more pulled back, a little bit more of a neutral, olive gray toned base color scheme, but we still have some peachy tones and we still have some deepening tones. We have the olivey greens, we have a couple more metallic shades. There's a pink over here that's really lovely, and then out of the woodwork pops this happy little lavender shade that so many people were confused by, but it completely works within this color scheme, within this palette. And I'll card above a video for you where I'm using this palette for the first time. And that lavender shade completely transforms the look. It just makes sense. I think that that wisteria shade makes the palette, because without it, it is a pretty nice neutral palette, but with it, it's something special. And when you pair it with the packaging and the color scheme even of the packaging and the other shadows that are in here, you just get something that feels right. You know, they did a good job with this one. And I've never been drawn to any of their other palettes, but this one made me stop and take notice and actually go back and find it secondhand. And finally, we will end with Udenzai. Here is the Hela palette between Udenzai and Angelica Nyqvist. She's my favorite YouTuber, but even if she weren't, this palette would have caught my eye and drawn me in right away. The packaging is so creative. I don't love the skull, but Hela is the goddess of death in Norse mythology. She represents life and death, so this packaging has half death, half life. There are other characters as well that tie into Norse mythology, which is what the Udenzai brand is all about. So I understand the packaging, even if it's not my personal aesthetic, but it's done super, super well. It's done so well, so creative. Whoever designs Udenzai packaging deserves a raise. This is the outer sleeve, and it goes through on the back. All this lettering is slightly embossed, but also reflective. So even though it's green on a green background, you can still easily read it because of the way that it catches the light, which is a clever way to do kind of a monochromatic sleeve. And then the sleeve slides away and we have this incredible colorful reveal underneath. Oh my goodness, it's so beautiful. Again, with the way that they merged the colors together and blended all with the blues and the greens and the yellows and then these random pops of sort of a reddish berry color. So beautiful, and you can see the theming all around. Udenzai has kind of an expected border that they put on the palettes. The back shows you the shade names and everything. Again, with the green lettering on a green background would generally be pretty difficult to read, but because they made it metallic, it's easy. And then the inside is this color story that dreams are made of. It's so beautiful. Now, if you have yellow undertones in your skin, this is going to work on you a tiny bit better than it works on me. I have blue undertones, so a couple of these shadows are not ideal for me, but I can use them to blend out, you know. But besides those 2 or 3, everything else gets so much use. I love the yellow, green, pink combination. I love that there are deepening shades, that there are highlighting shades, that there are some sparkles, lots of mattes. It's so beautifully done. The packaging, again, carries through all the way. It's just amazing. It's so creative. The size is just right. It's not too big. It's not too small. It's probably my second favorite Udenzai palette at this point. Merry Christmas has stolen the #1 spot, but it's amazing. It's a beautiful palette. So that is what I've got for you guys today. Palettes that are the complete package. Everything that you would want, from formula, color story, packaging, inner and outer details, size of palette, everything. These palettes are the most remarkable and unique in my collection. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. Remember to check my description box. I will link these palettes below if you're interested in buying whatever ones may be still available. If I remember to, I will link my eye look in the description box once it goes live, but I make no promises because I've been pre-filming for when I have a baby and I kind of take a little break for maternity leave. So when this eye look goes live, I'm gonna have a newborn in my arms and I may or may not remember to link eyeshadow looks in my YouTube videos. But if I remember, I'll link it there. But remember to hit the subscribe and notification bell so that you're notified of new uploads and then you won't miss it either way. Thank you so much for being with me. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Comment below what your thoughts are or what some palettes in your collection are which have everything that you would want, like total package palettes. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for being with me and I will see you guys again very soon in my next video. Bye!